B'chol dor v'dor, in every single generation, yerdin nitzutzin, minishmas Moshe Rabbeinu olav hashalom, sparks of the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu come down, u'mislapshin, and they enter and they enclose themselves beguf v'nefesh shel chachmei hador, in the bodies and in the neshamas of the chachamim of the dor, eini ha'eda l'lamei das es ha'am, and it is the job of the leaders of the generation who have within them the sparks of Moshe Rabbeinu's neshama, is to teach das to the nation, v'lei dagdulos Hashem, and to teach the Yidden about the greatness of Hashem, ula'avdei b'leiv v'nefesh, and to cause that the Yidden should serve Hashem with heart and soul. Ki ha'avoda shebeleiv hi lefi hadas. Because in order to serve Hashem with one's heart, in other words, with avas Hashem and with yiras Hashem, that is dependent on das. Kamei shekosov, as the pasuk says, das alakei avicha. If you have das about Hashem, then v'avdeu b'leiv shalim v'nefesh chafetza, then we serve Hashem with a complete heart and with a desirous neshama. So here, we're introduced to the concept of a Rebbe. We're not talking over here about wise people who learn a lot of Torah and know the whole Shas, and maybe even know all of Kabbalah and all of Chassidus. This is not about wise people. We're talking here about people of the elevated status, people whose neshama is actually a nitzutz, of Moshe Rabbeinu. And their job is to teach everyone das. A mashal is given on this. And let's say you were to watch an artist drawing a portrait of someone. So you'd look at the way he draws eyes, and you'd say, okay, I could do that too. That's an oval. I could do an oval. And then you see a nose. Oh, that's like a rectangle. I can do that also. And then you go to your piece of paper and you do the same thing. And what's it going to look like? What went wrong? You're copying the artist 100%. What went wrong? The difference is that the artist isn't drawing circles and rectangles and squares. What's the artist drawing? A face. By the artist, he has in his mind the face, and he's drawing the face. Now, how does the face express itself? It expresses itself in different shapes. But if you only have the shapes and you don't have in your mind the actual face, whatever you're going to draw is not going to have any life to it whatsoever. What is the nimshal? We said earlier that the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu is mushrish bedasa elyon shebeyud sfiris da atzilus hamiyuchadas b'matzilan baruchu. The neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu is rooted in the sphera of das of atzilus, which is absolutely united with Hashem. Now we know that Torah is Hashem, right? A raisa of v'kochabrichu kulachad. Torah is one with Hashem. So when Moshe was teaching Torah, and Moshe was teaching, and whether he was teaching the people about the greatness of Hashem, or whether he was teaching about Shnai Meichs and Betalis, to Moshe Rabbeinu, those were lines and circles. But what he was really teaching the Yidden was Hashem. When a Yid sat by Moshe Rabbeinu and he learned, so the words he heard were the words of Torah, and the words of speaking about the greatness of Hashem or any other halacha. But what was he experiencing at that moment? He was experiencing Hashem. It was Hashem as it was expressed through the words of Torah, like the face that's expressed through the circles. And then you have other teachers, people who are very wise and very learned, but when they're teaching Torah, they're drawing lines and circles. They're not in touch with the godliness, with the elokus in it, and that's why it doesn't have the same life. And for a Yid to experience das, for a Yid really to connect to Hashem, it's not enough to learn Torah. It's not even enough to have a great teacher. You need to have a nitzutz of Moshe Rabbeinu. You need to have someone who has the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, a spark of the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu. Someone who, when they teach Torah, they're teaching Hashem. And by the way, interestingly, it says that the nitzutz of Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and is mislabish in the guf and in the nefesh. It's not as if that there is already an existing neshama and it comes in. No, it's in the guf and it's in the nefesh. In fact, it's even in the guf. And in fact, he says guf before nefesh, which tells you that the guf of a tzaddik is also holy. And therefore, the guf of a tzaddik also expresses Hashem. It's not only the neshama and the divrei Torah of a tzaddik, but even the guf of a tzaddik. And that's why many great tzaddikim, from the Talmidei of Baal Shem Tov and the Talmidim of the Talmidim, who they didn't say Torah. So what's the purpose of going to Rebbe if he's not saying Torah? But the answer is that it's beguf uva nefesh. It's not only in the nefesh, it's actually the guf. Seeing a tzaddik is seeing elokus, is seeing godliness. The Shpaler Zayda said that my colleagues, they go to their Rebbe to learn Torah, and I go to my Rebbe to see how he ties his shoes. And I'm sure he didn't mean to say that he's not listening to the Rebbe's Torah. But what he was trying to say is, to me, it's not only about the Rebbe's Torah. To me, when the Rebbe is tying his shoes, that's also a Gili Elokus. That is the concept of a tzaddik. The concept of a tzaddik is that if you want to have das, you want to really, really connect to Hashem, you need to have that Rebbe, you need to have that tzaddik who not only teaches you Torah, but reveals Elokus to you, reveals godliness to you. And again, even the Torah that the Rebbe teaches is different than another person's Torah. Because when the Rebbe is teaching Torah, the Torah is just a vehicle for the Elokus that's within it, and that's apparent. As opposed to other people, so it's interesting, it's fascinating, but when you're learning Torah from a Rebbe, if it's an emissary Rebbe, someone who's taka nitzutz from the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu, it's something else entirely. And this is the key to how to get das.